Welcome to the Partyology Experience with your host, 𝚂𝙾𝙲𝙸𝙰. Hi guys, welcome to the Partyology Experience. Yes, my name is Marcus and I'm here today with 𝚂𝙾𝙲𝙰𝙀, the General Manager of Feel-Good Events. Hi Emma, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. Are you all pumped and ready?
Totally pumped. I'm pumped every time. I'm
Excellent.
pumped.
You got lots of good party tips you can give?
Yeah, I've got many. I've got heaps I can tell.
Okay,
Yep.
Excellent. So in today's podcast, we're going to talk about all the things that we think you should think about before you actually start planning your party. So obviously when you're planning a party, the first thing is you start to think of is venue and what dress am I going to wear and what entertainment am I going to have and what food are we going to have and what drinks should we have, all those fun and exciting things. But we've put together today a list of 7 things to think about before you start planning all those sorts of things. And these things may help you create a better party experience for yourself and for your guests. And that's why we've sort of come up with these. And we think these are sort of really important and they're all sort of intertwined, but it will help you in your planning once you start getting into all those fun and exciting things. Number 1 on the list is what type of party are you planning for? So by this we mean, do you want it to be party of the year, lots of energy, people dancing, crazy? Do you want it to be more low key? Just people coming and having a bit of food and drink. Maybe they might have dancing depending on how the party goes. You're not too fussed. Or is it more just a gathering? Simply just, people in your back garden, having a few beers. Maybe it's at night, you've got a fire,
Casual.
Very casual.
Very casual.
Yeah. So this is something that we think that if you think about this before you start doing any other planning, it's going to help you set the mood or the tone for when you do get into your planning. So, it's no good saying you want party of the year and then organising everyone to come and stand in your back garden.
Yeah,
Agree?
how exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
now.
right. It's not really going to create party of the year, is it?
No, it's not.
And look, we get lots of clients and we speak to lots of people about their parties and they do sort of say, oh yeah, no, I want lots of dancing and all that sort of stuff, but then they don't really have suitable entertainment or there's no dance floor or it is outside and it's cold. They haven't really thought of what's
poor
really
planning.
Poor planning.
Yeah.
So in part of this, we also sort of talk about party energy. Now, I talk about party energy a lot, and party energy, for those people who don't really understand, is if you think about if you've ever been to a concert, a festival, any sort of really good party where there's lots of dancing and energy from the crowd, that's what party energy is. And that's a good party energy is if you go to, say, to a festival, or I know I've been to some awesome concerts and stuff like that where the crowd is pumped. They are going off. There's people waving their undies in the air, all that sort of stuff there, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be they've had lots to drink, although sometimes that does help.
Of course.
It's the energy coming from the crowd is just awesome. And to me, I think you need to create a party that has good at party energy. Now, sometimes if you're planning a low-key dinner or get-together, it doesn't matter. You don't necessarily need that sort of party energy. But if you're aiming for party of the year where you want it to be exciting and fun and, there is that great feeling coming from the crowd, you need to plan for that because it doesn't always just happen. Sometimes it does.
Not very often, though.
But not very often. So there's key elements that you'll need to do to make sure that happens. So party energy is really important and you don't need a lot of people.
No, you don't.
No.
People, I think, always think you need to have hundreds and hundreds of people to make that energy, and you really don't. You can have a party of 20, it could be the best party you've ever been to.
That's right. And a lot of that comes down to the size of the venue. If you've got a function space that suits 20 people and it's, people feel connected and together and, it's a comfortable size, then it can really work. If the music's good, the lighting's good, all the, different elements of the function are there, it can still be really good. So you don't necessarily need 200 people to come to your event.
No.
It's quality over quantity, isn't it, really?
100%.
Yeah. So, that's one thing that's super important. Typically, when it comes to party energy, and I've found this as a DJ, and I don't know if you've seen this, Emma, at some functions, but younger people tend to create better party energy than older people. And I'm sorry to say that, because I have done, DJ'd functions, 40th, 50th, 60th, that have been really good, great party energy, but if you've ever come to, if you've ever been to a school, primary school disco or, you know, a Wiggles concert or something like that, the energy in those types of atmosphere
environments,
is
yeah.
on fire. And they don't need alcohol to
No,
be
they
going
don't,
crazy.
especially not the Wiggles.
That's right. Even, you know, nightclubs and stuff like that, typically that, you know, 18 to 21-year-old age group, you know, add a bit of alcohol definitely does help, but the energy levels are a lot higher than, say, a 40th or a 50th.
What are you going to say here? Under 25 is the good sort of age?
Yeah, under 25 is pretty good.
So I'm over that now.
Yeah,
That's
you're
a bit
over
sad.
that, and I'm way past it. You know, so, you know, it can make a difference, the age of your guests, and, you know, you can say, well, let's not invite older guests.
No.
But I think you do need to be conscious when you're inviting your guests, are they going to help create the party energy that you want? And sometimes you don't know.
I think sometimes you let the mums out. They haven't been out for years. You
Exactly
let them
right.
out and have a couple of drinks. They're like they're 25 again as
That's
well.
right. And that's right, yeah. I was going to say, sometimes the 40s and 50s can be better than the 21st.
Because they've not been out for, you know, for a long time. So they just, you know, all their kids are being babysat. So they're
That's
out
right.
on town. Let's go.
That's right. The
Ready
first
to
night
go.
out in 2 years or something like that. Whereas, you
Why
know,
not?
sometimes it can be the opposite. The 21-year-olds are so worried
On
about
their phones.
Yeah, what they look like, and on their phones and on social media the whole night, that the party disappears before you know anything's actually happened. So
yeah. You get a mix of them.
that's
yeah.
right. So number two, I always say people should start at the end.
Sounds weird, doesn't it?
It does.
People must be like, what?
Yeah. So what I mean by this is, what party story or what do you want your guests to talk about your party after the event? So if you think about, if you're having a 21st or a wedding or a corporate event and you want it to be something memorable, what do you want your guests to say in 12 months' time, 5 years' time? You know, is it just going to blur into their memory and just go, oh, that was just another function I went to? Or is it going to be, you know, something that they go, oh, geez, that was a great night? You know, so
That's what you want.
you do. And if you're going to go to all the effort, and we were just talking about this today at lunchtime,
We were.
we always talk about events with all the team at Feel Good Events. Yeah, we were talking about, if you're going to go to the effort of having a party,
Go all out.
yeah,
You might as well. If you're spending half the money, spend the extra half on, you know, making sure it's absolutely, you know, off its chain.
yeah,
Make it, you know, so people are going to talk about it for years to come. Because what's the point of doing it otherwise?
That's right.
That's what we think anyway.
that's what we think, yes. We're a bit biased because we want people to throw awesome parties, but
of course.
um,
But no one wants to go to a party that's boring.
no,
Especially if people have spent lots of money and time and effort. You want to make sure it's good.
yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, what sort of party story do you want to be able to tell in 5 years' time? Oh, I had the best 21st or the best 30th. It was crazy, you know, there was people doing silly things. Everyone got naked and jumped into the pool, or
Whatever
I don't know,
it is.
whatever it is you want it to be.
Entertainment or whatever it is
Yeah.
exactly you want them to remember.
Yep, grandma was drunk on the table. I always use that one because I've seen lots of grandmas dancing on the table. I do some wild parties. Yeah, so, yeah, what is it that you want people to talk about? So if you think about that, that will then help you create that or work towards creating that type of event. So that sort of then leads into number 3, which is guest experience. And this is something that we talk about a lot at Feel Good Events and is super, super, super important, and is, what's your guest experience? What do you want the guests to experience when they come to your party? Now, lots of people say, I just want them to have fun and have a great time. You know, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
So if we talk about weddings, and I heard this, and this gets thrown around a little bit in the events industry, for weddings, say specifically, in the old days, back in the
Old days.
old days, the wedding was more about the parents of the bride and groom, and everything was based around them, and they got all the attention. Then, you know, as time went on, it moved on. The focus was on the bride and groom, which seemed pretty obvious.
Of course. That's what you're there for.
That's what you think you're there for. You're exactly right. And then in today's modern era, it's more about the guest experience, and I'm a big believer in this. I really feel that the guest experience is the most important, because I know if I'm having a party, if the guests are having a great time, I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
And if I see everybody on the dance floor, or everyone, you know, laughing, having fun, enjoying themselves, socialising, whatever it is, I feel happy because the guests are having a good time. So if you focus on your guest experience, I guarantee you will have a great experience yourself.
Yeah, we've known that from the past from other clients, you know, just if it's gone really well and they've all had a great time, that they're always coming back saying how awesome it is. And if it's been the other way, then, you know, they've not had good experience as well. So it really
Exactly
does,
right.
it's an atmosphere you create, so it just passes on to everyone that's there.
Exactly right. And I'm sorry to say that I believe the party, although it may be your birthday, it's not really about you.
It's not really. It's a
No.
bit sad thing to say, but it is true.
Yeah. If you really want to throw a great party and great party experience, you've got to make it more about your guests. And you, as we say, you will have the best time. Like
Yep.
you will remember it way more than,
Yes.
as we say, everyone's sitting there bored out of their brain or on their phones, or at worst, they go home.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, you don't. Number 4, we've got stimulate your guests' 5 senses.
Oh.
Now, this
Sounds a bit kinky, doesn't it?
It does. And you can stimulate your guest 5 senses however you may like. But this is something, again, we talk about a lot here at Feel Good Events, and it does sound a bit kinky.
It does.
Depending on how you want to take it.
It's quite easy to, once you talk about all 5 of them, it is quite easy to think of
Yeah.
the things you can do for them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about this a lot, Emma, and you've had a lot of experience with this. What are some of the 5 senses that, and some ideas
Well,
around
some
that?
really easy ones, like for smell, for example. Now that comes down to, smell of food. It can be, making sure you have candles. So if you're going to have people walking through a space or into the room, having candles throughout the whole space to sort of, it smells nice. It's not just, people walking through and that's it. Nothing, exciting. Taste is, of course, food. Making sure you can have things that are fun for food, like, these donut walls are a huge thing at the moment.
Yeah.
And food displays, grazing tables are a huge one as well. Sound, of course, pretty easy. Making sure the sound is good. This is a good one because you have to get this right. If you don't get this right, and I know you know this from experience being a DJ, if you don't have the music right and the sound right, then
right.
you might as well not even have the party.
That's
If you want party of the year and you've got no good music and you've got your home stereo that's going to about to blow up and it can't go any higher,
That's right.
what's the point of having it?
Yeah, and sorry, even with even if you're not going for party of the year, sound or music is still super
huge
important.
key.
Even if it's just a dinner party, it's still
You need background.
exactly right.
It's so flat.
Yeah,
And it's a bit awkward if you're still sitting there and not everyone's chatting. You want something in the background, just makes it a bit more exciting.
that's right. I went to a restaurant on the weekend and they had no music, and
No,
everybody at the
I hate
table,
that.
we noticed it within about 5 minutes of sitting down. We went, something's not right, and everybody picked up on it. There was no background music.
Oh.
And it just, changed the experience of it, and it's the same for your party. And
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
100%. And then the next one is sight and then touch. So the 5 of them, there's so many things you can cover for those. Touch could be a whole range of things, like you can do green walls that have got, you can touch them and sort of things like that.
Yeah.
It can be a whole thing. I know it sounds a bit weird, touch, but it can be a whole range of things.
Yeah, we've done snakes and live animals
So
for
all
some
entertainment.
events. And,
Yeah.
and visually
course.
is something that we specialise in because we do decor and
Making it look amazing. People walk through the door and go, wow, I've never seen this before. Like, that is a key point for us.
Yeah. So, the more you can stimulate your guests' 5 senses in as many ways possible,
The better.
The better.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And if you think about that when you're doing your planning, no matter what it is, and go, have I covered at least something for each one of these? It's going to make a better experience for your guests. So, Number 5, plan for fun from the beginning. Now, this is always an interesting one, and I always, it's everyone's interpretation of this. It's like somebody coming up to me and saying, can you play something good when I'm DJing? And you're like, well, what's good to you? And it's the same with fun. What's fun for you and what's fun for me and what's fun for Emma is...
And your guests as well.
Yeah, exactly right. Can be very different. So you need to plan for a range of fun and, work out what's grandma going to like, because she might not like dancing on the dance floor, or she might not be able to dance on the dance floor, but what can she do that's going to make it enjoyable for her? Or, if you want it to be crazy and wild, what's going to create that fun and crazy sort of atmosphere? So planning for fun from the beginning is really, really important. And everyone's definition of fun is very different. To me, a definition of a great party is a group of people gathered together to have fun, and the more you focus on a range of different things that are fun, the better.
Yep.
So, number 6, what's your biggest stress? A lot of people stress about parties and have major anxiety when it comes to parties.
And different things about them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy, like people not showing up. I think that's a really big one. People like no one showing up is a huge thing. Not enough food and drink, guests not having fun, like all those things are high stress for most people. And I think a lot of people don't have their own parties because of these 3 things.
That's right. Or they don't like being the centre of attention.
Yes.
And that's where we go back to, if you create a party that's all about your guests, then you won't necessarily...
It's not really all about you.
Exactly right. If you're really stressed about having a party, get some help. That's probably the key thing there. and something to think about from the very beginning before you do anything else. If you're not too stressed about doing the planning and all that sort of stuff, then you can easily do it yourself if you cover all the main areas, but otherwise get some help. And then number 7 is, what's the most important thing to you? Now, most people usually when they're having a party will have something that they really want at their party. So some things that can be really simple, like it might be, I just want a donut wall, or I want lots of dancing, or so everybody has something different that they want. Some people will spend money on a cake, yes, or a light up dance floor because that's what they want.
Yes, there's always something.
So work out what that is, that
Key
item
thing.
or thing that you want. To me, it's always lots of dancing. So I always make sure that I plan for dancing.
Yes.
Good music, good lighting, a dance floor, obviously, so that there's a designated place to dance. Dancing is super important to me for so many reasons, because to me that's the heart of a party. But to you, it might be something different. So, but think about what that is and make sure you plan from that from the very beginning. So there are 7 things that we think that you should think about before starting your general planning. We feel that the most important thing is plan from the beginning. So make sure you do lots of planning, and if you put in the effort, you'll be rewarded from it, rewarded for it.
100%.
So those sort of people that sort of just wing it and just go with the flow and don't really think about their function or their party too much, typically it doesn't tend to go as well as they may want it to. You then could spend money and waste it because you haven't put in a few key elements. So planning is super, 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 super important, and will in most cases take away from some of the stress that you've got. The more you put in, the more you'll be rewarded. Thanks for listening to the Partyology Experience with your host, 𝚂𝙾𝙲𝙸𝙰. Don't forget to subscribe or check out our website for more party tips and expert advice at 𝚂𝙾𝙲𝙰𝙳𝙠𝙰.